Hey, 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 hey. Jordan Sheridan live. It is Monday, October 29th here in New York. Hope everyone is having a lovely day. It is finally, the sun is out in New York City. I have two viewers watching on YouTube so far. Are we live on Facebook? No, we're not even live on Facebook. Hold on one second. Hold on, farewell. Status coup. Oh, boy. Live on Facebook now. I think we're live on Periscope and live all over the world. We have just a few viewers so far, so that's always positive. Let me know if you could see me. Let me know if you could hear me. It shows a little buffering on my side at the moment. It's showing up live on Facebook, so hopefully you could hear me, you could see me. It is a busy day in the news. And obviously, if you were paying attention yesterday, it was a busy day here at Status Coup. We did a live stream, or shall I say, I did a live stream for 7.5 hours. So almost as long as Bernie Sanders' 2010 filibuster. That's what I was going for, but I just couldn't do it. Couldn't make it to 8 hours. But we had a good time yesterday, and we raised a hell of a lot of money for in-the-field reporting, which we're very excited about. So I'll be able to update you on that as we go in this live stream. If you were living under a rock, we launched statuscoup.com yesterday, which I'll show you today. If you missed it yesterday, we also covered a lot of stories in 7.5 hours yesterday. So it was very exciting, and definitely press the share button on this stream, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope. Let's get this out to as many people as possible. As always, this is a super chat on YouTube. So if you're feeling super, feel free to leave a couple bucks. It's how we're going to grow contributions from the audience. And obviously looking for funding in other ways. Aline FX says, great website, shared with everyone I know. Thank you, Aline. And also, everybody should check out the new articles we have on the website. There's some original reporting up on the website, statuscoup.com. Here's the website. We got our main featured story, which I read to you yesterday, which goes into, those resistance warriors. Beto O'Rourke, Andrew Gillum, yes, they are definitely better than Ted Cruz and Ron DeSantis, but they're taking money from the usual suspects, folks. We have our promo video, which I'll play again today, a brand new promo video, Ty made for Status Coup. We have our operating mission statement / article on why we're launching this. Also did a piece on corrupt Joe Manchin. And I'll be teasing this throughout the broadcast today, but definitely make sure you put your email in so we could grow our email list. The way to build this network up, in addition to your generous contributions, we want to grow our email list so that we could talk directly to you, the audience. Obviously, we're not going to send you, 25 emails a day. Or a week. But, we're going to email from time to time, alerting you to what's going on, what we're working on, where we're going, and exciting things going on. So we need your email for that. We'll try and keep it limited. But thank you. We raised almost $5,000 yesterday while we were live. The live stream is up. The live stream is up. So if you have 7.5 hours to kill, go rewatch the live stream. It was a lot of fun. I started at noon Eastern time, and I think I ended at a little, right around 7:30 at night. So that's a long day. And if you could tell, I'm a little tired. By the way, I'm a little tired because I'm getting a root canal tomorrow, and I've been in pain, so they gave me painkillers. And these painkillers, it's like they give you enough. It's enough to knock out a horse. I've been exhausted all day, but we got to move forward. So. And Jen, if you could put the GoFundMe in the description so I don't have to do it, I appreciate it. So, a lot going on. I am going to actually start today with Trump. I usually don't cover Trump that much, but every day that goes by since this mail bombing where the MAGA bomber sent bombs to CNN, former presidents, former U.S. intelligence officials, and sitting congressmen and congresswomen, it seems that Trump is doubling and tripling down on his vile rhetoric. And I think it's something we should cover. But I have a bit of a different take. So we're not going to let the corporate media totally off the hook. Although I don't think CNN, who, by the way, they found this morning another suspicious package. They didn't find it at CNN, but they found it at an Atlanta post office, and it was supposed to go to CNN. So there was another suspicious package just this morning found for CNN. So although, to be very clear with you, very clear, I'm not blaming CNN and I'm not blaming the corporate media if there are threats against the corporate media or if whack jobs are sending bombs to CNN. Regardless of whether I think CNN is propaganda, regardless of whether I think CNN and all these outlets gave Trump 24/7 coverage, which I'm going to get to in a little bit, there's no rationale for violence, and there's no responsibility or blame to be put on CNN or any corporate media outlet. People sending bombs to media outlets, people threatening media outlets, even ones we vehemently disagree with, even ones we vehemently find to be propaganda, there is no blame that should be put on CNN. Terame, thank you for the $2 in the super chat, getting us started today. Just got back from vacay. Grats on the $3,333. Thank you, Terame. And if you weren't a part of the party yesterday, here is we're at $18,620 now. Our goal yesterday, we started our GoFundMe /statuscoup.com launch at noon Eastern, and we were about 14,000 at that time. We got over 15,000, I think, in like an hour and a half. So we got over 15,000 in an hour and a half, thanks to all of you. And then some fantastic, I know who it is now. That person doesn't want us to reveal their identity, so we're obviously going to respect that. But a really incredible person contributed, look at this, $3,333, which put us way, way up. So now we're at 18,620. Obviously, sometimes in life you got to just take a moment just to be grateful and all right, be happy. You don't have to keep pushing. So I'm very grateful, but there's still urgency. We need to keep growing this GoFundMe. Our overall goal is 50,000. We definitely passed our goal for October, which was 15,000, but we want to keep pushing. So although we put a goal of 15,000, we are nowhere near our overall goal, which is 50,000. And this is going to In the Field reporting. Jen and I are hitting the road this week, and we're excited to tell you about that story in a few days. It's very, very big. We're very excited about it, and it's probably going to be the biggest story. It's definitely the biggest story I've ever done, and it's definitely the biggest story Status Coup has done so far. So keep contributing. $100 gets you a hat or a shirt. $127 gets you both. And $200 gets you a badass Status Coup swag bag with all sorts of signed goodies in that bag, including Status Coup pens and Status Coup water bottle. And we also, for $250, are giving out Status Coup backpacks. So you give, we give, and together we shall thrive. So I'll push the GoFundMe some more throughout this hour. And again, we're really excited. We launched the website yesterday, so definitely check it out, statuscoup.com. Definitely going to be, it's still a work in progress, so we're going to be updating and making changes as we go. But you could go check out the stories we have there, and definitely enter your email. That's very important. As much as we need to grow financially, got to grow that email list too. And Jen is in the live chat now, so she could tell you how important it is to grow that email list. So, you got, thank you, Neilon, $2 in the super chat. Thoughts about volunteer field journalists. I am not opposed to that, but we are far, far from that. We are far, far from that. We are open to volunteers. But volunteer actual journalists, we actually need more staff to oversee something like that, which we don't have right now. I'm not going to, unfortunately, as much as I love the audience, we also have to make sure that this is comes off like a professional media organization. So we don't want to just throw people out there who don't necessarily have the journalism experience, and we don't have staff to oversee what they're doing or manage it or vet people. So that's definitely something we're considering. Somebody asked about that yesterday because we did a lot of question and answer as part of our marathon live stream. By the way, if you just want something in the background, it's up now. It's 7.5 hours, so you can watch the whole or watch or listen to the whole live stream. But eventually, sooner than later, I do want to have citizen journalists, volunteer journalists, but we definitely are going to want extra staff to basically oversee that. That's not a small thing. Basically having, viewers do journalism for us. So hopefully that comes off the right way. I trust our viewers, but at the same time, we want to make sure this isn't some, Animal House. So part of the GoFundMe, it goes like this. It goes like this. We get enough funding to get in the field. We get in the field. We show people what we're about. We cover stories that expose injustice and corruption. As a result of that, we grow our paid membership, which is going to be our model. While we grow our paid membership, we also try to get sponsorship and partnership deals. So we got a lot of plans, but part of the funding plans is to bring on other reporters and bring out other staff. And I would love to have volunteer journalists too, because there's 50 states in the country and a lot of stuff going on. So the more voices, the more faces, the better. But not yet. So, and as Jen said, Neelan, contact us at the volunteer page. So that's statuscoup.com/volunteer, or just go on the website right here. See the About, Coup Crew, and volunteer. So you could type in to become a volunteer too. And Jen and Sam are overseeing all that. So, Super Chat, GoFundMe, keep it coming. Now, I want to get to Trump. And it bothers me a little bit because I've kind of made my brand not covering Trump as much as anyone else. But I think it would be journalistically irresponsible for me to not cover the President of the United States basically creating a race and religious war. That's not something I could ignore. So, obviously, everyone keeps saying, well, you can't directly blame Trump for the MAGA bomber. You can't directly blame Trump for the synagogue shooter. And I agree with that. I don't think there's a direct line. It's not like Trump is coordinating with domestic terrorists to go be domestic terrorists. However, when somebody's that mentally ill or disturbed to carry out such violence, sometimes they need a match to light their disturbed fuse. So Trump, he basically read the statements that his staff wrote for him. He read the statements that his staff wrote for him after bombs were sent to CNN. And it just didn't come off sincere. And then when he went out to the campaign trail, he went back with the enemies of the people again. Press are enemy of the peoples. Well, this morning, another suspicious device was found at an Atlanta post office earmarked for CNN. At the same time, this is what the President of the United States tweeted out. There is great anger in our country caused in part by inaccurate and even fraudulent reporting of the news. The fake news media, the true enemy of the people, must stop the open and obvious hostility and report the news accurately and fairly. This will do much to put out the flame. You literally have, less than a week ago, a domestic terrorist sending bombs to CNN with thousands of people in the building, including my brother. He doesn't work for CNN, but he just started a job in that building. And you have this man, he knows exactly what he's doing. The fake news media, the true enemy of the people, must stop the open and obvious hostility and report the news accurate and fairly. Well, first of all, who the fuck is Donald Trump to decide what is accurate and fair? Who is Donald Trump to be the arbiter of what news is honest and fair? It's outrageous. You as a public figure, I know he doesn't think of himself as a public figure, you as a public figure are fair game for criticism. Now, I think CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Associated Press, BuzzFeed, all these, I'm not defending them as journalistic outlets because I don't think they really are. But they're under the umbrella of media. So in that way, I am going to defend them even if you are bad as journalists, even if you are bad media, even if you push out propaganda, even if you uncritically regurgitate what unnamed government officials tell you constantly, helping lead us to wars, which everyone that I just referenced has done. They're not there to provide Donald Trump glowing or coverage that he deems as fair. You're not a king. I mean, the arrogance and the just total insanity of this. Look at this. There's great anger in our country caused in part by inaccurate and even fraudulent reporting of the news. Well, you call every single critical story of you inaccurate. So at a certain point, it's the boy who cried wolf. What's accurate? Did you go to journalism school? What exactly it constitutes as accurate or fair? Anything that's positive to you? Folks, this is extremely... Forget CNN and all these places and what you think of them. We are in agreement that these are the bottom of the barrel. If you want to say they're journalism, I put in air quotes journalists. But this is an open call and a not so subtle call to his already disturbed supporters and to copycat attacks. The media are the true enemy of the people. Keep doing what you got to do. It is extremely dangerous. And, although I think, dare I say, I'm a little nuanced, so I actually think the media is not responsible for what Trump is doing. The media is not responsible. CNN is not responsible and should not be blamed that bombs are being sent to their building. And another bomb, again, today, to the post office. But there's also something else attached to this. You have the corporate media. Whenever there's attacks, whenever there's a terrorist attack or a mass shooting or whatever, you'll hear this talk about we need to increase civility. And I talked a little bit about this in my marathon live stream yesterday. And press the share button. Let's get this out to more people. Press share on Facebook. Press share on YouTube. But, this is the same corporate media who's now bemoaning the lack of civility that literally gave $5 billion in free airtime to a man on a daily basis, pushing out Islamophobia, racism, misogyny, sexism, and just lunacy. So, again, I'm being very clear. I don't think CNN is to blame that bombs are being sent to them. I don't think any journalist, even ones that I think are bad journalists and bad at their job and corrupt, should be threatened physically or verbally. But all these panels about civility, well, maybe next time don't elevate. And by the way, it's not just during the campaign. Maybe the answer, and I'm not patting myself on the shoulder, but part of why I have chosen, both at the Young Turks and after the Young Turks, not to cover Trump 24/7, besides the fact that I believe we're going to build a journalistic revolution by covering everything that's being ignored by the 24/7 Trump media industrial complex. But part of why I don't cover every tweet and every ridiculous thing he says is because someone like Donald Trump feeds off of the attention. Insecure people, narcissists, fascists, racists, misogynists, sexists. Think of every terrible adjective you can have. They feed off of attention. They feed off of the coverage. If I live in New York, I don't know him, but I know of Donald Trump. This is where he came up in New York. You ask anyone in New York, any celebrity, any journalist, anyone in New York, Donald Trump The main thing that he did as a businessman wasn't run a business. It was get on the phone and talk to the media. Because he literally would melt if the media wasn't talking about him, if the media wasn't writing about him, if the media wasn't foaming at whatever he was selling them. He needs to be in the headlines. That's what feeds his psychopathy. It's not a sociopath anymore. This is a psychopath. So, when the media during a campaign, just for pure profit motives, and I write about this in my book, Corporate Con Job, which we're starting basically in the next week or two to make into paperback. So you're going to be able to purchase my book if you choose. All chapters are up right now, patreon.com/Jordan Sheridan, but we're also making it into a paperback as well as an audiobook. But I write about this in the book. When you give for just pure profit and ratings motivations, when you give this man unlimited airtime, you are mainstreaming his fascism. You are mainstreaming that racism. You are mainstreaming that sexism. You are mainstreaming his enemy of the people. And you are getting that 24/7 into the minds of people like the MAGA bomber. That is how Donald Trump has grown. He didn't do it because, his message is so powerful and persuasive. It's because the media basically was his unofficial public relations and marketing firm. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Where is this? Oh, here we go. Donald Trump wrote $5 billion in free media to the White House. $5 billion. Donald Trump didn't spend nearly as much on advertising as typical presidential candidates, and he didn't have to. He relied on billions of dollars of free mentions in media, ranging from major TV news networks to BuzzFeed and Twitter instead. The real estate magnate got $4.96 billion in free earned media in the year leading up to the presidential election, according to data from tracking firm MediaQuant. He received $5.6 billion throughout the entirety of his campaign, more than Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Ted Cruz, Paul Ryan, and Marco Rubio combined. Quote, "You have Donald Trump coming along and getting all this coverage without spending a dime," said Paul Senatori, chief analytics officer at Portland-based MediaQuant. So it ain't complicated. So when the media sits here, oh my God, he's fascist. Oh my God, he's creating, he's sowing discord and he's influencing these sick men by his talk. And he is inciting violence. Well, he could not do that without your endless camera and your endless microphone. But some say, well, Jordan, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to ignore his candidacy? Yeah, he should have. They should have. Do you give David Duke endless airtime? Would you give Pat Roberts endless airtime? Would you give KKK members endless airtime? Okay, but then they say, well, what do you want me to do? He's the president. Well, you don't need to treat him like a normal president because he's not a normal president. He's not a normal president. You don't need to show every rally. You don't need to show every tweet. You know how much news there is? You know how much injustice there is? You know how much corruption there is in this country that news outlets like CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, with the resources they have, could be covering? Marshall Villager says, the corporate media focuses on superficial and sensational regarding Trump's comments. They don't explain the substance and the issues behind it, nor do they counter him with any logical ideas. Edward Klein, so true, Jordan, thank you. And I just want to be clear, because maybe I'll get some hate for this. I'm not blaming CNN for those bombs coming to them. I'm not blaming anyone in the media for the vitriol and the hate against them. Tweets like this, honestly, if he wasn't president, the FBI would have to be looking into him right now. This is vile. There is no one to blame but Donald Trump for what I'm showing you right now. It's basically, it's not even a coded whistle to his supporters. That is basically telling your supporters there's an enemy, we need to stop them. So I'm not blaming them, but you can do two things at once. So I could say there's no excuse for violence against CNN, journalists, threats, physical or verbal, against journalists or anyone else. We are here in a war of ideas, not of physical violence. But at the same time, when I keep seeing panel after panel with these elitist, very wealthy, mostly white people in the media, pox on Donald Trump. He's inciting violence. And, he needs to be stopped. Well, what about your role in this? You created this Trump monster. And after you created it, you have fed the monster and fed the monster and fed the monster. Now, I'm not saying have a media blackout completely of a president. He is the president. So every day he needs to be covered, of course. But the degree to which he's covered, this isn't news coverage anymore. This is literally a 24/7 reality TV show. If you ever watched the movie Ed TV, it basically had a camera on this guy named Ed 24/7. This is Trump TV. The news has become Trump TV. You'd be hard pressed to watch CNN, MSNBC, or any of these networks all day and see more than one segment that's not about Trump. And press the share button. Let's get this out to more people. This is a super chat, by the way, as a reminder, and we're definitely still definitely still pushing this GoFundMe, which we are now at 18,000, 6,020. So, haven't had a contribution yet while we're live, but there's still time. So, I'm just saying, folks, two things can be true at one time. Let's not sit here. The problem with journalists, especially these East Coast, quote, journalists, is they never actually look in the mirror. After 2016, they didn't look in the mirror. Maybe there would have been a different outcome if, dare I say, the media gave Bernie Sanders a quarter of the coverage they gave Donald Trump. You, as journalists, do not need to give this vile psychopath unlimited attention. It's how he feeds, and it's how he grows his army of supporters, and it's how he reaches this army with these vile comments. When a president chooses not to care about their words, when a president chooses not to care that he is the example of America around the world, when a president chooses not to care if things he is doing is going to get American citizens killed, then guess what? That president isn't entitled to be treated like any other president, and any other president would get a significant amount of news coverage. So that's what I believe. But I think CNN and MSNBC, and the New York Times, they could throw up their hands all they want and say, the civility, we need to be more civil, and blah, 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 blah. No, this isn't an issue of civility. This is an issue. Stop giving this man an unlimited microphone. Stop giving this man an unlimited camera. It's not complicated. And watch how quickly Trump's tweets and comments change from enemy of the people to wah, wah, wah. The fake news media isn't covering me. But I gotta say, maybe I'm a little naive, but I don't agree with CNN or MSNBC or the New York Times or any of these places. I think they're bad journalism. In most cases, I think they're propaganda. But I would hope that corporate outlets would defend independent journalists being threatened and have bombs sent to them. So I'm defending them. Because I think if you're in the media, it's a great job if you do it right. It's a great opportunity. But it shouldn't be a line of work where you're getting bombs sent to your office, where you're getting death threats constantly. No one, whether you're a journalist or anything else, should have to go to work and worry that they're going to get killed. Obviously, there's industries like police and firefighters and things where that is a possibility. Kevin Pham says, Jordan, you are right. We could ignore the problem, but we need a way to be aware of what he's doing to destroy the country. What's to say Trump's attempts to put children in cages again? How would we know? You see, Kevin, I'm not talking about I think his policies and the actual things he's doing should be covered. But there's a difference between covering those things and giving him an unlimited microphone to spew hatred, bigotry, stoke violence. Those two things are different. Hey, guess what? Sarah Sanders today, I'm about to play it for you. Sarah Sanders said something totally ridiculous, basically saying the President of the United States, you know what? I'll give you a perfect example of how the media should cover him rather than giving him an endless microphone. Let me play this clip for you from Sarah Sanders.
The very first thing that the president did was who shot up a baseball field of congressional Republicans. You can't start putting the on the president, but everybody that works in this individual who carried out the crime would think if we had a good answer to that individual who carried out the crime would hold that responsibility. Steve.
What's he going to take to stop these killings from happening over and over and over again?
I think if we had a good answer to that, I think everybody in the country would support it. If anybody knows the answer, I think certainly this administration would be all ears. The president spends every single minute of every single day looking for the best ways to protect the safety and security of Americans, and we're going to continue to do that. John?
So, if I were in the White House press briefing and I was asking, and she gave me that answer, I would push back. If the President of the United States is spending every single day doing everything in his power to protect the American citizens, then why is the AR-15? Why is he not leading the charge to ban the AR-15, which was just used, again, in this shooting in Pittsburgh? The Second Amendment doesn't actually say citizens are entitled to military assault weapons. It says a well-regulated militia. So that's fair game. That's an actual issue. And guess what? I said this in my marathon live stream yesterday. Mental health is a red herring. It's a red herring. You're never going to eradicate mental health illness in America or around the world. We could invest more resources on mental health, and we should. But this whole reflexive, conservative bullshit, oh, it's a mental health issue. No. It's an issue where there are disturbed people in society. That's never going to change. What can change is making it less easy and less readily available for disturbed people to get murderous massacre machines. And anyone who says differently is full of shit. Objectively full of shit. Okay? So I would cover that. Because she just said he's doing everything humanly possible. And she also said, if there was something the American people could agree on, well, guess what? 90% of Americans want stronger background checks. 90%. The last poll I looked at an assault weapons ban, I think, was over 50%. So let me tell you something. I have depression. I take antidepressants every morning. I'm not ashamed of it. That's a mental health issue, right? So I've never gotten to the point where I wanted to hurt anyone. But let's say one day me or somebody else who otherwise just has a mental health problem, depression, anxiety, whatever it is. For whatever reason, we have a really, really bad episode. And for whatever reason, we get so dark and so agitated that we decide to carry out some activity. I'm not saying I'm going to. Not at all. Would never do that. But my point is, people don't decide, mentally ill people generally aren't going to kill themselves or kill other people until that one day they snap. And I'm not knocking mental illness. It's a real thing. But the point is, we as a society don't need to make military assault bazooka guns readily available for those who are not equipped to handle them. And people in the military say that. Former soldiers say that these weapons should not be in distribution for civilians. It's not a mental health issue. It's a gun issue. So whoever asked me before, well, if you're talking about just the media should just ignore him, how are we going to know what awful things he's doing? Cover the policy. You know what Mick Mulvaney's doing at the budget office? You know what Rick Perry's doing at the Energy Department? Do you know what Mike Pompeo's doing on behalf of Trump around the world? Probably not. Do you know what Linda McMahon, the WWE wife, is doing at the Small Business Association? You probably don't know any of that. And I don't know any of that because nobody covers it. So, my point, I don't blame CNN for bombs being sent to them. It's not CNN's fault. And I don't blame journalists for having threats against them. They don't deserve it. Even though I don't agree with the way they cover news, I don't think they're covering news. But you could say two things at once. On one hand, they don't deserve this, and the people who are to blame, frankly, are Trump for inciting this violence and the people who carry it out. But at the same time, Trump didn't happen in a vacuum, okay? So let's say Bernie Sanders got $5 billion worth of coverage. He'd be president. Most people who get that much free airtime can make something happen out of it. But I'm tired of watching these civility panels. Oy vey. All right. Before I move on to the next topic, and I hope you're sitting down, because what I'm about to show you might disturb you. Might disturb you slightly. Jen and I are hitting the road this week. We're going on a mega story. We're trying to figure out after that story if we're going to be going out somewhere else for the midterms. So a lot of things are in motion. As I said, we raised almost $5,000 yesterday during our live stream marathon, but the work is not done. So I don't want you to think that the urgency is gone. We still need to raise a lot more money for in-the-field reporting. We don't want to raise enough money so that we could go out once in a blue moon. We want to raise enough money so we have enough seed money. Thank you, Matthew, for $10 in the GoFundMe. So we have enough seed money to really get out there, starting directly now and after the midterms, to really get out there and stay out there to cover the critical news stories. That's how we're going to grow this business, and that's how we're going to attract a much wider audience. We love you guys because you're the early status quoers. We got to come up with another name. Status quoers. But we definitely want to grow this audience. So definitely. If you got a couple bucks, we want to get this much bigger. And thank you to the 263 people so far that have contributed. And keep on emailing us. If you've contributed $100, $127, anything over 100, email Jordan at protonmail.com. We need to know your shirt size, your hat size, and your address so we could send it out. So, you ever hear of this person named Hillary Clinton? She ran for president now twice. She apparently, after losing to an orange orangutan reality TV star, and again, make sure you're sitting down. This one's going to hurt a little bit. After losing to Donald Trump, instead of, gracefully going away, and I'm not a sexist, I think she's entitled to make a living. She wants to write books. She wants to go give talks. More power to you, Hillary. But she spoke, I believe, yesterday. And apparently she thinks that she still has something to add to the American political system. So here we go.
We're going to talk about 2020 in a minute. Do you want to run again?
No.
Wait.
No.
That was a pause.
Well, I'd like to be president.
Okay.
Look, I think, hopefully, when we have a Democrat in the Oval Office in January of 2021, there's going to be so much work to be done. I mean, we have confused everybody in the world, including ourselves. And we have confused our friends and our enemies.
Right.
They have no idea what the United States stands for, what we're likely to do, what we think is important. So the work would be work that I feel very well prepared for, having been in the Senate for 8 years, having been a diplomat in the State Department. And it's just going to be a lot of heavy lifting.
So are you going to be doing any of that lifting? Do you feel like?
Oh, I have no idea, Kara, but I'm going to, I'm not going to even think about it until we get through this November 6th election about what's going to happen after that.
Oh. Oh boy. Oh boy. I really, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. Al says, revolution, man. Edward says, I want to throw up. Jim says, throw water on her. Amradelf says, I think that sums it up, Jordan. All right, you know what? I'm going to be attacked as a sexist, but I don't care. I would say this about a man, too. She's got to get off the stage. She's got to get off the stage. She's got to stop going around the country fundraising for candidates. You know, Jimmy Carter, for example, who I have a story on today, he gracefully, he lost re-election. He gracefully exited. You know, he went around the world. He did a lot of charity work. He went back to live on his peanut farm in Georgia. And he's done a lot of good after his presidency. You know, and I think it's very revealing what she said. I want to be president. I want to be president. Yeah, well, go run for president of the Chamber of Commerce. You know, go get a dog. Like term limits, there should be limits on how many times you could run for president. At a certain point, you have to recognize that in fairness, she did win the popular vote. I don't like her, but she won the popular vote. But unfortunately, we're not governed on a popular vote because we don't live in a real democracy. So her ideas and her party's ideas have been rejected under the political system we have now. The Democratic Party has lost over 1,000 seats over the last decade. It has allowed disgusting, vile, social Darwinist Republicans to take over governor's seats all over this country. Scott Walker in Wisconsin, Rick Scott in Florida, the guy who was governor of North Carolina with the voter suppression. I mean, I could go on and on. Sam Brownback in Kansas. They kept winning because they were facing Hillary Clinton types in their states and neoliberals. At a certain point, you have to gracefully say, you know what? I had my time. I had my chance. My ideas did not win. And I'm going to move on. Darth Corey, she really thinks she's entitled to it. I totally agree. And you know what? I think in Hillary Clinton's own little way, she thinks she can help America. Unfortunately, I don't think she understands what America is really dealing with because she does not leave her little bubble. Thank you for the $5 in the super chat, Desi Murgy. Hillary wasn't going away ever. Have you kept track of how many visits she made to India since 2016? It's not exactly a tourism hotspot. No, I didn't. But the bottom line is, at a certain point, you are sabotaging the very party you say you want to help. You are wildly unpopular. I think her favorability rating is like 36%. So at a certain point, are you really giving all these speeches? Are you really now alluding to you might run again? Are you really doing that because you think you could help? Or are you doing it because you want to make sure that progressive change can't actually take over in this country? Because you and Bill Clinton and the neoliberal establishment that has run the Democratic Party basically since the 1980s does not want those checks to stop rolling in. Because, I mean, she must know she wouldn't even want a primary at this point. People are just done. So, as far as I could tell, the only reason somebody like Hillary Clinton would continue on alluding to, oh, I might run again, or I think I'm the most ready, and blah, 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 is you're trying to sabotage the actual progressive movement in this country. Not the fake progressive who gets things done, but actual progressives. Because you don't want the endless checks from Wall Street to stop. You don't want the endless checks for big oil to stop, from big pharma to stop, from Silicon Valley to stop, from real estate developers to stop. I could go on. But let me tell you something. I mean, at some point, the Democratic Party has to say, goodbye, go away, we don't want you to run again. You want to write books? You want to give talks? By all means, you're entitled to make a living, even though you got more money than God. It's just astounding. It's just astounding. Share this video. Let's get it out to more people. But I got news for you. Hillary Clinton talking like this. Hillary Clinton saying, oh, I'll decide after the midterms, blah, 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 blah. Even if she doesn't run, don't think the Clintons aren't going to have their hand and their feet in the 2020 pool. Don't think that they don't have a say in who the party rigs the primary for or tries to rig it for. Apparently, the Democratic Party still, for some reason, decides it has to bend over for the Clintons. Maybe because the Clintons still bring in a lot of money for the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party still stupidly thinks that money equals victory, even though they continually lose, even though they're raising a hell of a lot of money. So, hey, Hillary Clinton, you want to write books? You want to give speeches? By all means. Nobody's telling you not to. But do not run for president. Go sit on some corporate boards. You're familiar with Walmart. You sat on that board. Go take money from think tanks. Go travel around the world claiming you care about democracy and, rights for women, even though you helped destroy countries all over this country, all over this world. But it's time to exit stage right. For the love of God. God. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep tonight after seeing that. Ay. And my Facebook friends, you're spot on. Hillary running again is just a slap in the face to any real liberal, Samuel Stripe says. All right, let's move on here. And again, if you weren't part of our marathon live chat yesterday, statuscoup.com has launched. Check it out, statuscoup.com. Go there now. Enter your email address. We're trying to grow our email list. You could read our brand new original reporting on all the cash Beto O'Rourke and Andrew Gillum are taking from fossil fuel fuckers, from big bankers, all the usual suspects. I think I would rather Beto than Ted Cruz. I would rather Gillum than Ron DeSantis, but I'm still going to cover corruption, and they are corrupt. And actually, this is a good opportunity. I'm going to play the promo video. This is our brand new promo video for Status Coup. Hopefully you feel some inspiration to GoFundMe or Super Chat, whichever you choose. Let's play the promo video. Hold on. Promo.
This is CNN Breaking News.
We're in tonight with the president not saying something, not tweeting, not punching back. Nothing at all about Stormy Daniels.
I don't like that people like when I'm with you more than when I'm not.
Lock us up at the gates of hell and we won't back down. We will stand our ground.
Our kids breaking out in blisters.
Lock us up at the gates of hell and we won't back down. We will stand our ground.
The government and the media would rather focus on the president's tweets, scary boogeymen from Russia, instead of people being poisoned. We were driving up and we started seeing the lines to this church here. A lot of the churches in Flint are distribution centers for free bottled water.
It's sad to see that 4 years later, we're still going through the same thing as if it happened 3 months ago.
They said, oh, your water's totally clear for lead, it's fine. There's no way for them to know that.
I really do believe that this water, from us consuming all of this stuff, that is what caused my miscarriages.
I'm all broke out. I have picked my own pictures. I'm all broke out. I'm diabetic. I have like wefts. And this is from the water.
Eric Cherry was killed on the streets of Chicago at 16 years old. That's my grandson.
We saw 24-year-old Maurice Granton shot in the back while running for police.
Right now, there is a hunt, and black boys are the prey.
When it was communities who are mostly wealthy, mostly white, it's like the pain is felt. But with something about our communities where I see our youth having to fight, literally needing support to get the rest of the world to understand that the everyday shootings they have to see and go right back to school after their friend was killed is just as painful. Like literally having to convince society that we can't take more pain, that we can't take this no more.
Polluting the water. Since when is profit more important than water? When is profit more important than people?
Hey, it's Jordan. I'm here in Flint, Michigan. I am here on Lakeshore Drive here in Chicago. I am here live in Dallas, beautiful Virginia. Hey, it's Jordan. I'm live in Arlington, Texas. Look at this destruction. You're not going to see this anywhere. You think CNN's coming up here? Please. Yeah, if you could prove Putin cut down the trees, they'll be here in a jiffy.
Status Coup. Is now it's going to be called? Is it going to be statuscoup.com?
Yes. Most people are not lacking compassion. Most people do not know what the fuck is going on.
Fantastic work from Tommy Tahifi Bayless. Fantastic. And by the way, I saw some people ask, what are you talking about, Beto and Andrew Gillum's corruption? Tell me more. I did. We went through it yesterday. Go to statuscoup.com right now. Click on the article. It's a good read. You'll see who they're fundraising with, who they're taking dollars with. It's a lot of the usual suspects. That doesn't mean I don't think if you give me a choice, I'd rather Beto over Teddy Evil and Andrew Gillum over, Trump's mini-me stepson. But I'm still here to inform you. They're taking money from fossil fuel fuckers, from big bankers, from some really, really extremist racist people. So, call me toxic if you want. I believe in informing the masses, no matter which party. Go to statuscoup.com right now. You can read about it there. And definitely, we're still pushing this GoFundMe hard. So we are at $18,630. We'd like to get that up, of course. We've gotten $10 while we're live today. So thank you, Matthew. Contributed $10 about 20 minutes ago. Keep it coming. So I wanted to follow up on the story we covered in Dallas. If you remember, as part of the GoFundMe, thanks to your contributions, I was able to go down to Dallas with Ty. We covered Botham John, 26-year-old African-American. He was shot and killed while basically living while black, I think they call it now. He was just hanging in his apartment when a white police officer intruded in on his apartment and shot him dead. That happened on September 6th. So far, they haven't released the 911 call that she made after she shot this poor black man dead. They haven't released her police record, which includes another shooting, her shooting a man in 2017. They haven't released her toxicology report. There's been no transparency. None. So my interviews with Botham's minister, one of Botham's best friends, activists and protesters in the area. I interviewed a councilman, all up. If you click on playlists on YouTube, Botham John, they're all up there. And I'm following up. So we're trying to get an interview with Botham's mother. So we'll see if we're able to do that. Thank you, OTR Tucker, $5 in the super chat. I told you 2 months ago she's running and she's learned nothing when I started seeing her name in potential candidate polls. OTR. In OTR I trust. You were right. So now the family of Botham John, I couldn't blame them, is suing the city of Dallas and Amber Geiger, the police officer. Headline, officer who shot Botham John was dangerous and violent, John's family says in a lawsuit. A lawsuit filed by the family of a man shot inside his own apartment in September by former Dallas police officer Amber Geiger alleges Geiger, quote, showed signs of being a dangerous and violent person. Geiger is accused of fatally shooting Botham Shem John after walking into his apartment on September 6, mistakenly believing that it was her apartment, according to police. What does that even mean, accused of fatally shooting? She's not accused. She did it. There's no debate. She shot him dead. I don't know why it's written that way. Oh, but, you know, we gotta be neutral. We gotta be neutral. We can't state facts. Geiger was off duty when the shooting occurred, but still in uniform after completing her shift. The lawsuit was filed by Allison and Bertram John, Botham John's mother and father, in the Northern District of Texas on Friday. In the suit, the family blames Geiger, the police department, and the city for John's death. That Dallas Police Department said that they cannot comment on pending litigation, blah, 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 blah. The Dallas City Council was not immediately available for comment. John's family says in the suit that Geiger had a history of violence and used excessive force against John, resulting in his wrongful death. The family also says the Dallas Police Department, quote, has a pattern, practice, history, and custom of using excessive force against minorities, and accuses it of not providing proper training or discipline for Geiger when it came to using deadly force. Quote, by simply following proper police procedures and the best police practices and not the protocol of the Dallas Police Department to, quote, shoot first and ask questions later, defendant Geiger would have not shot John, the lawsuit states. Essentially, Officer Geiger was ill-trained and as a result defaulted to the defective DPD policy to use deadly force even when there exists no immediate threat or of harm to themselves or others. Dallas Police Chief Renee Hall and the Dallas City Council are also specifically named by the family, who say they failed to implement policies that would have prevented John's death. The family makes the following accusations against Dallas police in the lawsuit. The Dallas police investigation into John's death, quote, was characterized by bias, partiality, and a lack of thoroughness and or professionalism, specifically designed to ratify the behavior and cover up the misconduct of defendant Geiger. Detectives sought warrants for John's apartment specifically to find, quote, evidence of illegality. Police officers anonymously told media outlets information to try and cast Geiger in the best light and create a narrative in her favor. Quote, on the day of John's memorial, the family says in the suit, media published a warrant affidavit Dallas Police Department investigators failed to seal, indicating drugs and drug paraphernalia was recovered from the home of the descendant, all designed to protect defendant Geiger. The Dallas Police Department, quote, has a pattern, practice, history, and custom of using excessive force against minorities. The department, quote, trains its officers to use deadly force even when there exists no immediate threat to themselves or others. The family also says Geiger showed signs of being a dangerous and violent person based on a prior shooting of an unarmed suspect of color and pictures that Geiger allegedly reposted on her Pinterest account. Posts allegedly from Geiger's Pinterest account are included in the lawsuit. Pinterest is a social media platform where users share images or videos, blah, 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 blah. The quote, I wear all black to remind you not to mess with me because I'm already dressed for your funeral, was saved to Geiger's Pinterest board, quote, love to laugh, the lawsuit says. Another quote by Geiger, quote, people are so ungrateful. No one ever thanks me for having the patience not to kill them. Jesus Christ. Was also saved to Geiger's Pinterest page. Oh, let's thank you for not being a barbarian. He's police. After the shooting, the suit says Geiger was given enough time to scrub her social media accounts. The lawsuit says there were numerous signs that should have made it apparent to Geiger that she was at the wrong apartment. According to Geiger's arrest affidavit, Geiger says she went to the wrong floor. John lived in the apartment directly above hers. Quote, she inserted a unique key door with an electronic chip into a door hole, the affidavit says. The door, which was slightly ajar prior to Geiger's arrival, fully opened under the force of the key insertion. John's red doormat, the illuminated number by the apartment door, and the noise and red light that would have resulted from Geiger inserting the incorrect key into John's lock should have indicated to her she was in front of the wrong apartment. According to the affidavit, that once the door opened, Geiger saw John across the room. She discredited him to authorities. She described him to authorities as looking like a large silhouette because it was dark inside and said she believed he was an intruder. The lawsuit says Geiger drew her gun and began issuing verbal commands to John, who tried to comply by slowly standing up from the couch. Geiger fired her handgun twice and hit John in the chest, the suit says. She called 911 and her attorney as John laid on the floor and, quote, struggled to survive in extreme pain. At no point, the suit says, did Geiger try to perform life-saving measures on John. When John was taken to the hospital and officers arrived on the scene, Geiger was not taken into custody and made several phone calls prior to giving a statement. Oh, wouldn't you like that opportunity if you just killed a man and intruded in some random person's apartment and killed them? At some point, she was allowed to go back into John's apartment. So the person who just killed this man was allowed to go back into his apartment. And they found weed in his apartment. The family is seeking compensation for damages caused by John's death. They are also seeking punitive and exemplary damages against Geiger, quote, to deter this type of conduct in the future. I mean, there's no words. There's no words. This family should get, obviously they would prefer their son. Money doesn't replace someone you love. But this family should get all the money in the world. All the money in the world. Not only should this officer be in jail for the rest of her life, which, as of now, I don't know if that's going to happen because the Dallas Police Department has basically covered up anything about this investigation, if you want to call it an investigation. You're telling me over almost 2 months later? Yeah, November 6th will be 2 months. Why is it that they haven't released the 911 call? Why isn't it that they haven't released her police records, which include shooting an unarmed black man in 2017? Toxicology reports could take a while, but we haven't heard an update. Where is that toxicology report to find out what was in her system? Why don't we have information of what time did she punch out that day? How long did she actually work that day? They say she worked for like 13 hours. Well, prove it. I want to see all of her social media accounts. They need to get a forensic person in there to retrieve everything that she scrubbed. Because I got news for you. Sounds like she was a Blue Lives Matter, police superiority type of person. And basically thought she was doing black people a favor not to kill them. So, that's definitely one of the stories that I definitely, with this GoFundMe, and again, we still need to grow the GoFundMe, so keep it coming if you can. $5, $10, $15, whatever you could do. We really appreciate it. We're definitely going to be heading back there. I mean, there's no media really covering this. And in addition to Botham's case, which is a totally outrageous injustice, could you imagine if you went in, not a police officer, if you just went in to some random person's apartment, for no reason, and shot the person dead? Do you think you wouldn't be in jail right now, awaiting trial? Do you think they would decide it was manslaughter? She's out free right now. She's out free. Like that article said, plenty of time to scrub her social media. They gave her time to make phone calls after she shot this man dead. They gave her time. I mean, you might as well have given her a pass to the spa. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So we're going to be following up on that. I am trying to get an interview with Botham's mother to show you that. And there's also another case, O'Shea Terry, who was a 24-year-old black man. He was pulled over on September 1st. Him and his friend. O'Shea was driving. They had weed in the car, and a police officer, O'Shea was driving away from the police officer, which he shouldn't have done. Police officer jumps on his car, shoots inside the window 5 times and kills him. They wouldn't even release the name of the officer for over a month. They finally released the name of the officer, but we don't know what exactly they're investigating. As I've reported before, the Arlington Police Department training says if fleeing or somebody fleeing does not give you the right to kill them or shoot. You are not supposed to shoot at a moving vehicle unless there is a threat to you, meaning they are shooting at you or that vehicle is coming at you. So I've already shown you that officer had zero logical reason to shoot this man dead. So that's another case. He was killed, O'Shea, on September 1st. Botham killed on September 6th. So we're going to stay on these stories no matter what. No matter what. And we definitely want to get more funding to go back down there and interview more people. And maybe, maybe knock on those police doors. Maybe they'll arrest me, but, that's why we need money too. Legal defense. We're not doing, let's go out and get tea with the police. We're doing aggressive journalism here, Status Coup GoFundMe. So as I wrap up, and again, go check out statuscoup.com if you haven't yet. We got a great story there. Some people were asking, what are you talking about, Beto? I talked about this yesterday. It's all there in the story. Go to statuscoup.com right now. Read about Beto's taking money from the usual suspects. So is Andrew Gillum. Nobody else is going to call them out on it, but I've got to. I don't take a break. And I don't, some people are like, Jordan, we like that you report on the Democrats too, but can you wait till after the election? No, I can't. Journalists, real journalism, and exposing corruption doesn't pause for 2 weeks. And I don't appreciate being asked to by these people. Don't get me wrong, I would rather Beto than Ted Cruz. I'd rather Andrew Gillum than DeSantis, but we still need to hold them accountable. It's not real change just to get somebody in less evil than Ted Cruz if that person is still going to be a puppet to donors. Same thing goes for Andrew Gillum. We don't have time for crumbs. We need real change in this country. Do you agree? Takayaki. I thought O'Shea was pulled over for expired vehicle registration. He was. And when he was pulled over, he also had weed in the car. So they said, we have to check your car. So, lastly, and feel free, this is a super chat, and we got the GoFundMe, so keep it going, folks. Jimmy Carter. He was not exactly the most progressive president. Was big fan of the, big servant to the donors too. But I'd say he's probably been one of the more graceful ex-presidents. He still lives in his peanut farm. Yes, I did interview O'Shea Terry's friend down in Dallas. Go check it out. It's all up on this channel. We got playlists, and I think that interview is probably under police brutality, police violence playlists. So you could, on the homepage, just click on playlists. And we're gonna be uploading a lot of these videos to our website too, so you'll be able to see all this. Jen's working on all that stuff. So you got Jimmy Carter was profiled in the Washington Post, I think, as the unglamorous president. I think they called it the uncelebrity president, and he had some interesting things to say about the United States. Carter has been notably quiet about President Trump. But on this night, 2 years into Trump's terms, he's not holding back. I think he's a disaster, Carter says, in human rights and taking care of people and treating people equal. The worst is that he's not telling the truth, and that just hurts everything, Rosalind says, the former First Lady. Carter says his father taught him that truthfulness matters. He said that was reinforced at the U.S. Naval Academy, where he said students are expelled for telling even the smallest lie. Quote, I think there's been an attitude of ignorance towards the truth by President Trump. Carter says he thinks the Supreme Court's Citizens United decision has changed our political system from a democracy to an oligarchy. Can I get an amen? Money is now preeminent. I mean, it's just gone to hell now. He says he believes that the nation's ethical and moral values are still intact, and that Americans eventually will return to what's right and what's wrong, and what's decent and what's indecent, and what's truthful and what's lies. Oh, that's such a nice, cute thought, Jimmy. But he says, I doubt it happens in my lifetime. I'm sorry to say, I doubt it too. I mean, I don't know how old he is. He's definitely up there in his 90s. But finally, we have an American president still living who acknowledges we're living in an oligarchy. This is nothing short of a corrupt, legal auction. And Jimmy Carter, who, by the way, was not like a super progressive president. He was like kind of like your middle of the road neoliberal Democrat. But Jimmy Carter is saying what we all know. This has all gone to hell. Money is everything. Money rules the country. Money rules the Democrats. Money rules the Republicans. Money buys elections, or tries to buy elections. And it's an oligarchy. So, can we get some other presidents to say that? Well, Bill Clinton's not going to say that because he played a huge part in creating that oligarchy. George W. Bush probably can't even spell oligarchy, so we can't depend on him. Barack Obama didn't exactly, take it to the oligarchy. J-Dog, United States never fired a shot while Carter was president. Imagine that happening today. Well, Carter was responsible for some violence in Central America, but yes, you're right, we didn't have a war. But I think what's important here, most of the other presidents, is Jordan Sheridan living in a bad neighborhood? Every time I watch his channel, I'm constantly hearing sirens in the background. No, that's just living in New York City, and I have my window open. Let me close my window. And the Bloods and the Crips are fighting for me. There's a real battle between the Bloods and the Crips to try and get me on one side. So, I'm not living in a bad neighborhood. But I think what's so interesting, why you have Carter able to say this, is Carter's old. He's going to die in a few years. And he's not a lobbyist. He's not going around giving speeches for, $500,000 a pop like Obama's about to. He's not going to end up sitting on corporate boards. So he could speak the truth about the United States and the rigged oligarchy. He actually, for the most part, cared about human rights. Marshall says, Carter supported brutal regimes and was responsible for mass killing. He just did it in a different style, still imperialism. I can't argue with that. He was a lot better than Reagan. He was a lot better than both Bushes and Clinton. That I will argue with you about. But I think it's important because this is a living president who, by the way, he felt the burn. Jimmy Carter felt the burn. And he's saying what we all know. We don't live in a democracy. We don't live in a republic, a free republic. We live in an oligarchy. So the American dream is just that, a dream. And this notion that the economy's booming is a fantasy. The economy's not booming. The economy's booming for a select group of people that won the life lottery and have enough power and money to basically buy off the government to do their bidding for them. But I say, hell yeah, Jimmy Carter, we need to hear more of this while we still have you on Earth. Jimmy Carter needs to also go and speak against the Democratic Party and the neoliberalism that has taken over the Democratic Party, because they are a huge part of the reason we have an oligarchy. If we had a real opposition party in this country, if we had a real progressive opposition party to these batshit crazy extreme conservatives, then we could get rid of these extreme conservatives, because a little secret, the country is progressive. The majority of this country supports and believes in progressive policies and progressive change across the board. You go down the list of policies. People want progressive policies. People want more government involvement. People want government jobs. People want government health care. People want government supporting and investing in education, in infrastructure. People want less money for war. So I would like to hear a lot more from Jimmy Carter. And I think it's time Barack Obama steps outside of his little neoliberal circle. He's made enough money. And start talking common sense. Obama, since he's left the White House, all of a sudden he says, oh, and that new idea, Medicare for all, might be smart. That new idea, only the idea that you could have implemented when you became president. Obama's also started talking about universal basic income. If only we elected this man. If only we elected this man, Barack Obama. He could have tried to make Medicare for all, universal basic income. I mean, this is what Obama's talking about now. He says we might need to move to universal basic income because of automation. All right, folks, that's all I got today. I'm a little tired from yesterday's marathon. Watch or listen if you got time. We got 7.5 hour marathon from yesterday up on the channel. We also have some interviews I did with Jen, co-founder of Status Coup, as well as Ty, our photojournalist, cameraman, editor. So part 1 of both of those are up. We're going to put part 2 up as well. There's also interviews where Jen interviewed me, so you could get a little bit more insight into me, my path, and what I want to get out of Status Coup. And definitely, I'm not saying this for my health. Go check out the website. We spent a lot of time getting this ready. You could read original reporting there. You could see our promo video, share the content, leave comments, and definitely type in your email address. We want to grow our email list and be ambassadors for Status Coup. It might sound cheesy, but this is still in a grassroots word of mouth stage. So as many people as you could share this content with, as many people as you could suggest, become a subscriber to youtube.com/Status Coup. If you got a couple bucks and you want to see real on the ground progressive journalism, go to our GoFundMe. Again, we're at $18,630. We definitely passed our goal for October, but that doesn't mean we're stopping. Our goal is $50,000. We are well under that. We've raised $18,630 in basically like a month and a half. So definitely thank you to everyone who's been contributing. Feel free to contribute before the next live stream. I am going to try and be live tomorrow at 5 p.m. I'm getting a root canal, so hopefully my mouth isn't super numb after that. And I will be live at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern time every single day going forward. So Jen and I will also have a pretty exciting announcement of where we're going and what mega story we'll be releasing in a few days. So definitely stick with us. And remember, most people are not lacking compassion. Most people have no fucking idea what the hell is going on. Peace out.